All right, today is all about the attunement of the deep front line. And hey, if this video doesn't change your life, you better check your pulse. So, what the deep front line is all about is this internal stability. And it really has psychological implications as well as physical implications. You can think of it as kind of lining up all the domes in your body, the arches of the feet, the space between your knees, the pelvic floor, respiratory diaphragm, your heart pericardium, the throat crown of your head. So all of those domes need to kind of line up and be sort of like a carpenter's level, all lined up bubble to bubble. And once you achieve that in your body, that is your center that you will never forget. So try this attunement, find your center, and it's going to just create so much stability, control, and coordination in your core and in the whole body. So I know you're going to enjoy this. Get on your mat, try it out.
For you guys, we're going to start in Tadasana, so you can start at the front of your mat. And we'll organize with great toes straight ahead, heels a little bit wider. And we'll energize down into the feet as though you could dial the feet away from each other. Ensure that your knees are unlocked. And now you can just go into how that feels in the thigh, into the seat. And this time, let's go off on a few times. So if you turn that activation on, can you actually feel that you get a little bit more inner activity, inner thigh activity as well? So try off and on. And can you get inner thigh activity without that activation? So if you were just to stand in Tadasana, in a nicely balanced position, how much inner seam activity to pelvic floor could you actually get? And then try activating and just see if you're able to get a bit more activation up the inseams of your legs to pelvic floor as well. So I'll leave that to you to notice. And then let's carry on with the rest of this line. So if we activate in organization and activation, we activate the inseams of the legs to pelvic floor. Let's activate the lower belly. So transverse abdominis is also part of this. And then keep going up the inseam of your legs. We use a term in yoga called axial extension, which just basically means that we're asking the spine to lengthen, I guess. It can't actually lengthen, but when we have that idea in our mind, we can usually get a bit more activity along the paraspinal muscles and other structures that actually feel like we are drawing ourselves up into a little bit more length. And what we're really reaching for there is a little bit more activation in the core. So I feel that's a useful cue, whether extension or more space is happening or not. I don't think that really matters if we're getting a good effect. So you can think of axial extension here. And in some balancing postures, it's going to help you to press the tip of your tongue against the roof of your mouth, just behind your front teeth. It actually kind of feels like you're completing the line there. Okay, so from this position, we're going to play with a little bit of real activation for the deep front line with some toe standing. So we're going to take a block. So I've given you a block, and we're just going to put that between the lower legs, okay? And then we'll lift and spread the toes and root down into the toes. Unlock the knees. Once again, feel your sliding surfaces and energize like you're trying to squeeze the block. It's going to be like you're squeezing it with your calves. Okay, so squeeze the block and then start to shift your weight into your forefoot, just enough to lift the heels a little tiny bit, and work with that level just so that you can activate the arches of your feet. So just press into the forefoot and your toes, activate your arches, and once you really feel like they're active and you've got your inseams, carry that sensation all the way up through your body, to your jaw, to your tongue, and then we'll start lifting a little bit more. And it's fine if you have to go up and down a few times. This might be a new pathway, a new emphasis in the posture for you. And then we can take it down. So let's just practice going up and down a few times and just working with that. So it's very important to ground the toes, energize like you're dialing them away from each other. Keep squeezing the block. bringing that energy all the way up to pelvic floor and lower belly. We want to catch the pelvic floor within the deep front line. It's not like a thing that we emphasize onto itself. It doesn't really operate that way in life. So if we have sensitive and active inseams, we're probably going to have better pelvic floor function. If we have better transverse abdominis function, we're probably going to have better pelvic floor function. So let's try that one more time. And, please be patient with yourself, because the first few times you do this, it may seem like a lot of work, and it is a lot of work, but you will get stronger. Okay, so you guys can come out of that now, and we'll just put the block to the side, and we'll work on another really important thing. I use this all the time in my classes and my own practice and any other activities that I'm doing that involve balancing, and that is this short foot activation. So we're going to begin with the right foot. So stepping out with your right foot, you're going to lift and spread your toes, and then root down as though you're attempting to bring your heel toward your toes. If it works better in your mental map to bring your toes toward your heels, that's also fine. All we want to do here is activate the arch of the foot. So we're going to make sure this knee is slightly dialing outward. We don't want to try and do this with the knee collapsing in. So it's got to dial out. Tap into your lateral lines and your spiral lines. And then I don't want to be in your way here. So we're going to do that. And then now start to bring your body weight into that foot. And now as you bring the body weight in, connect to your deep front line on this foot, on this leg. So from your foot, dial the thigh out, pull the energy into the pelvic floor, start leaning into that leg, connect to your pelvic floor, right to your pelvic floor. Foot and pelvic floor are connected, and then you can start lifting the back leg. And we're going to stay with this as long as we can. If you need to bring your foot down and come back up, that's fine. But keep dialing the standing leg out, pulling the energy up the inseam, push the floor away from you, and make sure you're gathering that into the core of the body, foot to core. And then we'll start to come out of that. So you can put your hands on your hips if you like. Stay with the inseam of your leg, and then see about pressing your foot forward. Stay connected to that inseam. So that's maintaining your connection. And then from there, you could practice with all kinds of other things. You guys can step down now. Good. Let's try that on the other side. So this is a great practice. If you can establish a good foot-to-core connection, it's going to help you in so many postures and activities. All right, so let's go into the left foot now. And we'll lift and spread the toes. I always think that's a good practice. Our toes are often confined, especially where we live. Press down into the toes and energize like you're pulling your toes towards your heel or your heel towards your toes. Energize this leg like we do, organizing and activating, dialing it out, and start pulling that energy from your foot into your core, through the pelvic floor into your core. And then you can just take the weight away from the right leg, and you can see about tipping forward. And this is just about breathing and connecting foot to core, breathing and connecting foot to core. Don't even worry about how far you go. You can start experimenting with this in your practice. And then let's see if we can stay connected, stay connected, stay connected, and maybe bring the foot out front using deep front line on this leg, deep front line on your standing leg. Press it out, and then we'll take it down. Great. Now, let's put that to the test, shall we? Okay, let's take the strap. So I always recommend the shortest strap possible. So I often see people using a strap like this. This is not going to be as stable as bringing the hand a little bit closer. You want to be able to tap into the body a little more firmly. Okay, so we're going to stand, your choice actually. We're going to stand on the left foot, bring the right leg up. So let's establish our connection first. Press down into the standing leg, create that short foot activation, arch is lifted, inseam is active. hand is coming here. Now, if it feels like you want to stay with this activation, that's perfectly fine. Or you could put your strap around the foot or your hand to your foot if that's your practice and take it out here. Now, on this foot, you're still activating into the deep front line, so feel into it. Feel into the deep front line on your standing leg. Pull it into the pelvic floor and lower belly. And keep it coming up the body through toward the jaw and the tongue. All right, now we're going to take the strap off and let the foot slowly come down with awareness. Great. Let's try the other side. Okay, short foot first. So feel the connection. Energize like you're dialing it out. Lift the thigh. Give yourself time. You can put the strap around if you like, or hold the knee if you prefer, no problem. Keep energizing like you're dialing it out. So many times people will have that standing leg off to the side or turned out. I recommend great toe straight ahead so you can dial out. Tap into the spiral line and the lateral line and activate your deep front line at the same time, pulling that into the pelvic floor. Do you see how important your pelvic floor is right now? Let's take one more breath and then exhale down. So I think we wouldn't have so many pelvic floor problems if we just incorporated the pelvic floor into a lot of our practices and activities. We don't realize that, you know, it is all connected in just that way. Okay, let's have some more fun. So arms, let's come to the front of the mat. Arms to the sides and overhead. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward and down. Inhale, come up to half lift. Now, let's just spend one more moment here. Even here, deep front line is active. So if you're pressing down into your feet, creating that energization through the feet like it's a short foot, and you're dialing the knees away from each other, pressing into the feet, gather that energy up your inseams to pelvic floor, even here. Lower belly, can you feel that supporting you? Good, let's have hands to the mat and then step back to downward facing dog and go into it right here. So in downward facing dog, again, great toe, it's gonna press down, great toe and great toe mound, and energize like you're dialing the feet and knees away from each other. And then find the arches of your feet lifting. Draw that up through inseams to pelvic floor and lower belly. Draw it in. Good. Now, keep that great toe to core connection in arches of the feet to core connection. Inseams are active. Inhale, let's come forward into upper push-up position. Now, if you have to step your feet back a little bit or make an adjustment, please go ahead. So hands and wrists are directly under the shoulders. We're organizing and activating two at the hands and wrists. Finger pads pressed down. Energize your hands to your shoulders like you're dialing them away from each other. Yeah, very good. And then pressing into feet. So when we press down with the great toe and the great toe mound, that also helps lift the arch of the foot. So that's really important. And now we're going into hollow body. So we're going to go just a few rounds of hollow body, which is the low spine is lifting. Yeah, we're really activating and hollowing the body. And then we'll press back for downward facing dog, which is allowing hip flexion and spine extension. Good. Good. Inhale, hollow body. Activate, super strong. All the way hollow body, yep. And then press back downward dog. Let's do two more with breathing. Yeah, Ujjayi breathing. So let's bring that more here, less here. Yeah. Good, and downward facing dog. Great, one more time. Good, so really lifting the low spine. Yes, very good. Very good, so very nice practice. Let's just for fun bring the feet together, stay in hollow body. Stay in hollow body, feet right together. Rock over onto the outer aspect of your right foot. Keep right hand on the ground, lift left hand up. Keep hollow body, keep hollow body, keep hollow body. Very good. And hand comes down. Keep hollow body, keep hollow body. Rock over onto the outer aspect of left foot. Left hand stays on the ground. Keep hollow body. Very nice. The front body is where people will often lose integrity in this pose. This is looking good. Let's take the hand down. Good, and let's take downward facing dog. Very nice. Step your feet forward behind your hands. And let's just organize and activate our feet forward. They can be feet wide or feet close together. We're going into squat. So if you know your body and you know the preferable stance for your body, please go there. And now you're just going to bend knees and hips. Keep your arches lifted. So descend slowly. Keep your arches lifted. Keep the knees dialing outward. Keep active through pelvic floor, and then take your squat. Good. And then when you're in the squat, you're going to push down into your feet and lift out of your bottom. Lift out of your bottom. Good. So there's a number of different postures we can take. And for people who their heels want to really lift here, this would not be ideal, but they could easily bring the heels down, dial the knees out, and then bring hands forward here. So that's another option. What we're really trying for here is the activation of the deep front line. So we want to see arches are active and lifting, so it's kind of that short foot activation again, and inseams are super active. All right, let's inhale, press down into your feet, come all the way up to standing. Your feet can stay exactly as they are, and then back into your squat. See if you can maintain that connection between your foot and your core. That's what the practice is. Inhale, let's stand up. Good. Exhale, let's go back into the squat. Very good. So doing this with awareness, maintaining the connection, making it about maintaining the connection. It's not really about depth at this point, and we can stay down there. Yeah, let's just stay down. Let's take one more breath, and then palms can come down, and we'll once again step back, downward facing dog. Good. So, it's good at first to kind of over-activate a little bit. You want to activate strongly because you're learning and you're trying to show your body something new. But in time, we don't need to activate quite so strongly. So if you're finding it a little bit tiring right now, just know that you don't have to activate so strongly once you're getting used to the activations. Okay, very nice. So from dolphin pose, can we come down from downward dog, can we come down into dolphin? So you can just come down onto your forearms. If you like, you can lace your fingers. And we want to avoid letting the elbows drift apart too much, so we'll keep them relatively close. Great. So we're going to just take just a regular dolphin pose for a moment and energize down into your feet, just like we were talking about with downward facing dog a moment ago, where you actually feel inseam activation. Now press down into your left foot and raise your right foot up. So now with your standing leg, you are actually dialing the foot and thigh outward. With your lifted leg, you're going to dial it inward. So this is an important distinction to make. When your leg and hip is in this position, you need to dial inward when it's open chain like this. So that's a very strong activation of your deep front line. Let's have one more breath there, and then you can exhale and bring it down. Let's stand strongly on the right foot and bring left foot up. Good. Feel that the connection through your body, from your foot to your core, from your foot to your core. Standing leg is dialing out, lifted leg is dialing in to create that connection. Pelvic floor, lower belly, and on up the center of the body. One more breath, and let's bring that foot down. Very nice. Now we can take child's pose, so bring the knees down gently and go ahead and sink your hips back. Just take a couple of deep breaths. All right. So really good. The deep front line benefits from strong activation followed by a very complete release. And this is actually how the body is really well wired. We actually need to activate pretty strongly in order to get a good relaxation response. You find that if you're not really using your body, not really digesting experience through the body, it's actually harder to get a good rest. So this is actually pretty important. So let's do one more practice. You can just come back to hands and knees. Hands placed under the shoulders, knees under the hips. We're just going to play with a very simple principle that I think is pretty important here. So we're going to keep the left knee down and extend the right leg back. Okay? Take the leg straight back. So what we often see when the leg goes back behind the body like this, is just like we were doing in Dolphin pose, is we need to actively spin the lifted leg down. This is how we're going to create stability here and balance at the pelvis and the hip. So that's a good thing to remember. So when the leg is extended behind you, you're going to spin it in and down. That's whether you're on your knee or you're in your standing posture or what have you. Let's bring the right knee down and try that on the other side. Sometimes you have one side that's much easier to do that with than the other, so that's something to notice. If you want to check and see if you're actually getting the foot in the right position, you can just peek under the body and just see that the great toes point straight down. If that's happening, and you'll notice you actually have to activate pretty strongly to make that happen. It's just very natural for the foot to turn out when it's back behind you like that. All right, very good. Keep pulling up through the core, and let's bring the foot down. Beautiful. Let's tuck the toes now and come up through downward facing dog. And then you're going to hop your feet through to seated. Beautiful. So let's just have a little round of Navasana, shall we? So I do suggest, at least sometimes, to put the block between your thighs or between your lower legs. I'm going to use my lower legs and take Navasana. So pressing the great toes together. I'm just going to bring my hands behind my knees so I can get organized. The way I want to organize myself is to lift my chest, draw my shoulders back. So I don't really want to curl into this posture. I want to keep the heart lifted and squeeze my legs together. So what happens with some people is they have psoas muscles that tend to be over-recruited, and they just catch fire in postures like this. So we could always use a strap if we have a student like that. If they push out into the strap, it's not to help the legs. I would get them active. If they activate the opposite side, then the psoas can calm the heck down. So you're just going to push your feet into the strap, keep your heart lifted, and squeeze the block so you get some deep front line activation. Squeezing the legs together here rather than up at the thigh is a little bit better because we want that continuous chain of activity all the way up the line, and we seem to achieve that a little bit better here. Otherwise, adductors alone may try to do all the work. All right, let's bring the heels down and move the block and just shake that out. Good. We could probably do a few more rounds, but we won't today. So inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, you can go all the way down onto your back. Good. Let's bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees drop out just for a few moments. If your hands are able to reach, you can resist with your hands a little bit. So hands on your thighs, and just press your thighs into your hands and then allow them to let go. And you can do that a couple of times. What we're trying to do is just get a relaxation effect. We've been activating these muscles pretty strong, but now we want them to just let go and calm down. So doing a little active inhibition can help. So this is where you would actively press into some resistance and then release and let go. All right, so let's just allow the legs to straighten, nice and easy. Along the mat, just take a nice deep breath there. Maybe shake out the legs if you like. We're gonna do a little somatics practice that will really unwind that tendency to go into the startle reflex, which is our primary kind of primitive reflex. So this is a little practice that can help us unwind that. We have to really concentrate though. So I'm going to give you the cues, and you can just practice them a few times till you really feel like you're getting there. It takes a lot of intention to get this just right, and that's because you have to concentrate. You have to be conscious, full conscious attention on this little practice. Okay, just for 3 rounds though. Okay, so let's step the feet in and just make it a comfortable distance. Arms can just be to your sides, just wherever they're comfortable and relaxed. We're going to begin with an inhalation. When you inhale, let your belly balloon outward, press your navel out, let your back arch away from the mat, shoulder blades fall back, tail fall back, even now your chin will tuck. And then exhale, let everything drain into the navel. Let your pubic bone pull toward your navel, let your chest pull toward the navel, let the chin pop up. And then inhale, arch, tuck chin, shoulders fall back, tail falls back, belly really balloons out. There's a big arch under your spine. And then exhale, everything goes in. So you want to feel the transition from one breath phase to the next, okay? And next, when you're ready, you're going to inhale, balloon out, let your back arch, let your chin tuck. This is all very naturally going to happen if you just allow it. And then exhale. Exhale, this is a very important exhalation. We're pulling everything into the navel, letting the chin pop up, and exhale, exhale, exhale. And now stay conscious. Inhale just softly, just to neutral, and let your nervous system feel neutral. Just feel what neutral feels like. It's going to be somewhere between inhalation and exhalation. And just a couple of breaths, stay tuned into your body, into that neutral space. And then you can go into Shavasana. And thank you so much. That was our deep front line practice, and I will see you on the next sequence.